Hi everyone and welcome to an Age of Empires 4 video. Today we're looking at patch 11009 and it should be coming out today in fact. So it was announced yesterday, it should be coming out today, which is obviously an improvement in time frames, but I suspect they're just waiting till the last minute to post the news at the moment, just so we're not quite as frustrated that we're waiting ages after they've announced it. Just a general patch this time, a few upgrades, things that we've been concerned about. I won't read all of that, but you get the idea. So, general improvements. They've made improvements to animation cancelling issues previously called out by players. Now this has been an ongoing thing, it's been in the tournaments, you've seen some of the top players using it quite a lot, it's been used a lot in 1v1s. I actually tried to do it and failed miserably, but that's just me. They have improved it once I think in a patch, and now they've patched it again, and units can no longer easily perform faster attacks than intended by issuing a move command rather than attacking to cancel a cooldown between hits. Hopefully that has solved the issue. Developers note that when you're playing Age of Empires 4, they want you to feel like a general and spend most of your time making important high-level strategic decisions, not playing with individual units like that. So fingers crossed that they've solved it a bit more, but obviously it sounds like they know it's not perfect. Then we've got fixed a bug where palisade walls could no longer be targeted. The trebuchet projectiles now deal area of effect damage when missing that target. And they've decided that as trebuchet's accuracy is low, this means they now deal splash damage, which is much more effective. And upgrades such as the English civilization shattering projectiles is also much more powerful. So if you've been trying to get that mastery for the English, there you go, you should be able to get it a lot easier now. Fixed a bug where incendiary ships' damage range increased significantly after researching an explosives tech. Now I've seen exploding incendiary ships used a lot in 1v1s from some of the top players. So I'm not surprised they're getting adjusted because they do seem horrendously powerful at times. Fixed a bug where incendiary ships were exploding 2 or even more times in some cases. Now I've not specifically seen that it's been obvious to me, but I probably have seen it in games. And to keep the unit balanced, we've increased the explosion damage from 300 to 400. Okay, we'll see how that pans out. Scout cost has increased from 60 to 70 food. People have been using a lot of scouts, including me. I've been playing as a Russ and using a lot of scouts. Is that an important change? I don't know how much that'll make a difference. I mean, as the Russ, you're still going to be using them anyway. But basically, we like that there is additional utility to the scout unit besides just scouting. It's got a generous health pool, carries animal carcasses, and provides an effective torch. However, at only 60 food, it's quite clear it's a bit cheaper than the other military units, and targeting the cost has no effect on a player's initial scout, and it is especially impactful for players making armies of this unit. Yeah, I suppose if you're making armies of them, I suppose if people are using them as a weapon to, torch enemy bases down, yeah, that's fair enough. Fishing, now this is interesting. Big changes to fishing. They look like they're not big, but I think they are big. So, we want finding a body of water full of fish to be an exciting opportunity. However, the gather rate for fishing boats was creating a lopsided game with no comeback potential. This modest reduction still makes fishing valuable, while opening up other strategic avenues for players who isn't fully able to capitalize on it. As well as fish is intended to be a scarce resource, like deer or sheep, that provide a burst of food for a limited time. That's interesting. So, I've always found that, there's been so much fish on the maps that you can just live off that for food for a long time, not just a burst. So this might change that. So shorefish, fishing ships harvest rate reduced from 0.75 to 0.66. And I think 0.66 is the same as villages and berries? Don't quote me on that. I think that might be the same as villages and berries. But shorefish has reduced from 1,000 to 500 food per section, or per pool of them. And then also you've got changes to deep fish. So fishing ships harvest rate is reduced from 1.1 to 1.0, so that's still pretty good though. However, deep fish is reduced from 2,000 to 1,000 food. So that's a significant drop. That's halving the amount of food available. So there's going to be a bit of a rebalance there. You're going to have to consider making more food potentially from villages as well. But even said, initially at the start of the game, that's still going to be a huge amount of additional food for what is effectively a free town centre, or a very cheap town centre with a dock. Siege units. Siege formation catch-up speed reduced from 100% to 40%. Now, this explains a lot, because I have been noticing some siege units just charging away from me when I'm trying to hunt them down. So when units in formation reposition, they can get a speed bonus. This value maxes out at 40% for infantry and cavalry. However, siege units were moving much faster, and this could make them difficult to chase down, even with cavalry. So they've standardized the value at 40 to remove the siege race car effect. I don't think it was ever as fast as the race car effect that the Mongols had in the first couple of patches, where the town centre could race across the map. Horseman, Camel Rider, Fire Lancer and Knight torch bonus damage versus Siege is increased from 10 to 20, and that's a necessary change. They were not doing enough damage to the huge amount of siege weapons that people have been churning out. Cavalry is intended to counter siege weapons. Their high mobility should facilitate the ability to quickly close the distance and destroy siege weapons. Cavalry are more expensive than infantry, so getting a critical mass to quickly kill a siege weapon is too costly. So increasing cavalry torch damage for siege weapons helps them shine in this anti-siege role. That's a necessary change. Cavalry just weren't good enough. Simple as that. They needed that bonus for siege weapons. Bombard health reduced from 480 to 400. See additional changes to Chinese Civ-specific bombard health below. Chinese were nerfed a lot, I think. We'll have a look at what they've said about them. So, developer note, we found that Bombard's high health meant that it was able to fight cost effectively versus too many types of units. Its primary role is anti-building. We are still concerned about the damage per shot of this unit and will be closely monitoring its performance. Yeah, Bombards are very powerful. Step in the right direction, perhaps. The one thing that frustrates me a bit about Age of Empires 4 still at this stage is that you can pretty much spam one or two units and nothing but that and win a game. Not necessarily one siege unit and one other unit, but like, horsemen and horse archers, or it's not enough of a mix for me. I like a game where you have to have a mix of units and use them effectively, whereas you can get away with just mass spamming a couple of units in this game still. But hopefully they're getting closer to solving that. So, siege weapons now also deal their bonus damage versus ships. Naval units are so powerful versus land units, it makes water maps hopeless after a player's docks are destroyed. This change is targeted allowing siege weapons to trade blows with ships. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It was the case that you could basically mass around a coastline and destroy any docks they tried to build. I've done that before. Adjustments made across the board to reduce siege and move speed. Developer note, siege is meant to be lumbering, slow and powerful. Currently the power level of siege is there, but oftentimes it's too difficult to pick them off when repositioning or retreating. This change is aimed at adding more risk and strategy to the movement and positioning of siege equipment. Thank you. Bombard speed reduced from 0.88 to 0.62. Springald speed reduced from 1 to 0.88. Mangonel reduced from 0.88 to 0.75, and nested bees reduced from 0.94 to 0.81. Yeah, necessary changes. Let's have a look at the Civ-specific stuff. Now, this is the stuff that I honestly don't feel I've kept up on enough recently. But Abbasid age up time reduced from 120 to 105 for every age. Abbasid lacks the ability to speed up landmark construction times with villagers to age up. Instead, they get to save their villager time to gather resources. This mechanic is intended to be a bonus, however, can feel like a penalty as it limits the civilization's ability to dynamically adapt to the game's state. We've reduced the age of time so that the Abbasid House of Wisdom feels not like a limiting factor, but instead like a powerful bonus. Okay, yeah. There's a balance there for the Abbasid and the way they tech up, so yeah, that's fair. Abbasid Dynasty and Delhi Sultanate shared changes. Increased explosive Dao detonation range from 1 to 2 tiles, so it matches the intended explosion radius. Fair enough. Dao Damage increased from 8 to 10. That was by far the weakest arrow ship, and we've increased the damage to be competitive with the other options of the other civs. Fair enough. Berry harvest bonus increased from 25% to 30%. Berry capacity increased, or carry capacity, sorry, increased from 10 to 13. We found that many players preferring to take sheep over berries because it saved villager walk time. Our intention is for the Sultanate and Abbasid dynasty to play differently from the start, and added a focus on gathering berries. Okay. See how that works out. That's interesting. That might be an interesting change, because obviously they get a significant bonus in that they can double the amount of berries that are there. Chinese clock tower bombard health reduced from 720 to 600. Ooh. Yeah. Official unit can no longer use supervise on landmarks. China's official supervising the clock tower means the effective output of the landmark is tripled. This level of power is creating less varied and interesting unit compositions, as they would make such a large and powerful massive siege units. Fair enough. Reload drills bonus time reduced from 33 to 20%. Reload speed reductions are extremely powerful. These technologies are some of the highest outputs in the game. We've brought them down to be in line with similar enhancements like incendiary arrows and chemistry. Lots of hammering. SB's damage versus ships increased from 0 to 4, fair enough. Fixed a bug where the Imperial officials' tax collection cooldown sometimes didn't trigger. Interesting changes for the Chinese there. I'm not sure about the reduction in the bombard health, but bombards are pretty powerful full stop, so we'll see. HRE increased the prelate base move speed from 1 to 1.12. Yeah, they are pretty slow. No real opinion on that. I've not really played the HRE enough recently. Inspire cast range increased from 3 to 4 tiles. Yeah. That's probably one of the reasons I haven't played them very much, is because you had to have multiple prelates to make them useful. Maybe that's, they can cover 2 areas at once. Yeah, that's alright. Mongols, several changes made to adjust raid. Mongols getting lots of resources for burning enemy buildings and allows them to snowball an early lead with no hope for comeback. Getting resources from burning building allows the Mongols to create more troops to burn more buildings. Yeah, fair enough. Base level of the raid ability reduced from 50 to 25. Raid bounty upgrade bonus decreased from 75 to 50. Raid bounty improved upgrade bonus decreased from 175. Yeah, that seems fair. Honestly, I've not seen as many people, in the team games at least, playing as the Mongols lately. I'm seeing a lot more French and things like that again. I suppose they're the more straightforward ones to play. The Rus high armory technology fine-tuned guns reload bonus time reduced from 33 to 20%. I didn't realise it was actually 33%. Not that I've been using that technology much, to be fair. So what's next? With the last 2 patches, we focused on responding to many of the prominent balance and bug-related elements you told us would most improve your experience with Age of Empires 4. Following this patch, we'll be keeping an eye out for your feedback to better understand what other changes might be bringing into play prior to our spring update. The spring update, that's the one with all the other stuff we want that's in the roadmap. So the team's also monitoring matchmaking wait times, because that's still an issue, I believe. And it's about this ranked season that people want now, I think. And I would really like to play in the ranked season. I won't do well in it, but I'm keen to give it a go. That's pretty much it, I think. Nothing exciting. Usual disclaimers and known issues list, but yeah. Hopefully we'll be seeing that in the next few hours, if it's not already up by the time this goes live. So thanks very much for watching. I think most of us now are waiting for this big spring patch. But again, thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon for some more Age of Empires 4.